Hello, in today's video we're going to be looking at a couple of questions that are commonly received by Huntron Technical Support. And we'll try to do these videos as we receive questions that come in on a fairly regular basis, or when we receive the same questions come in, we'll try to create a Q&A video based on those questions that we receive. So in today's Q&A video, we're going to be looking at two things. First of all, we're going to be looking at the Component Scans tab in the Workstation software. And then we'll also be looking at a way to automatically store a text Ascii file of the test information or your test results when you run a scan. So first of all, let's take a look at the Component Scans tab. Every time you run a test for a component, so for example, we have C96 selected, and then you go and look at the Component Scans tab. Every time we run a scan on C96, that scan gets logged into the database. And so you can see we've scanned C96 5 times. However, if we go to a different component such as U20, and we go to its Component Scans tab, you can see that it's only been scanned twice. If you scroll to the right on the Component Scans tab, you'll see two columns. One is the Component Scan ID. Every time you do a component scan, we add an ID for that scan. And you'll also see the Sequence Scan ID. So every time a component is included in a sequence scan, an ID will be added here. Notice these are 0, so that means that component U20 was not scanned as part of a sequence. However, if we go to component C96 at the top, and go to its Component Scans tab and scroll to the right, we'll see that you have a sequence scan ID for every scan that was performed. That means that all the scans on C96 were performed as part of a sequence scan. However, if we go to a component like, how about U71, we'll see this has been scanned a fair number of times. And if you scroll over to the scan IDs, you see that, of course, it has a bunch of scan IDs here, but it's never been scanned as part of a sequence. So this is one way we can tell how that component was particularly scanned. It's important to remember that each of these scans were performed for the selected component. So next I want to show you the interrelationship between what we see in the Component Scans tab and what is displayed in the Signatures pane. So first of all, we'll go to the Signatures tab, and we have component U71 selected. So these are all the scans that were performed for component U71. So notice the one here at the top has a little asterisk right there, so that was the reference. And as you select each scan in the list here, it shows the signatures associated with that scan here on the right-hand side. There's also a relationship between the Component Scans tab and the Troublesheet tab. So these are the component scans for component U71, and if we select a scan here, number 124, it shows you the test results for that scan. So here was the components captured during that scan. If we select a different scan in the components list, it'll show the scans from that particular scan. So this gives you the ability to go back and review scans performed on a component from some time ago. So for example, we have scan 123 right here that was performed back in July, and we can go view those signatures that were performed then. So you always have the opportunity to go back and review signatures that you scanned some time ago. So next we want to cover on how you could possibly store Ascii information based on your test results. Well, of course, you could always go to the print button and store your Troublesheet report in the normal fashion. But what if you want just a basic file that gives you the failed or passed information? There's a very easy way to do that. The first way is just to click on the Store button. This brings up a Store Troublesheet window. Here you can control how much information you want to be in the text file. You can just store basic sequence information, or you can list all the failed components, or you can list all the failed components along with their pins. We'll just go down to the pin level. You do have the ability to put in a problem if you wish. Just for this example, we'll put some information in there. How about reset failed? If you want to put in the solution information, you can as well. We'll leave that blank for now. And then you would browse to where you want to store this file. So we'll give it a name. Notice the default is a text file. We'll just call this 1234. And I've already created an Ascii test files folder, so we'll store it in there. So click Save. And you can also include in the text file the pins that passed the test. So we'll check that. So it'll include that information as well. Click the Store Ascii button, and the file is created. So we can go take a look at that. Here's the file that we just created. And if you view it, you'll see that it lists all the pins, gives you the board, the sequence, the serial number, date, time, all that information, solution, and includes all the pin information. So you see, for example, here pin 8 right here was the one that failed, and then pin 7 all the way down through 1, the ones that passed. This information could easily be imported into an Excel spreadsheet if you wanted to track board failure information, or possibly the history of how a board fails over time. So that's the manual way to store the Ascii test information. There's another way to do this, and that's to have the Ascii text file generated automatically. So to enable that, you need to go to your Sequence tab and right-click on the row header for that to edit your sequence information. And you'll see you have a few settings here that you need to enable. First of all, the Auto Store Ascii. That tells the software that it's going to automatically store the Ascii file with every scan. You can control how much information you want to be stored in the Ascii file. We did the pin level before, so we'll select that this time as well. And then you also can have it include the past information if you wish, which we will enable that as well. Lastly, we'll go ahead and browse to where we want to store the file. We'll go ahead and add to this file. By selecting the file we already created, the test results will be appended to this file at the end of the file. So we'll click the Save button, and then click OK to store that information. So now what I'll do, I'll go ahead and just run a test on U71. So to scan U71, we'll go to the Scan tab. We'll type in a different serial number, how about 128? And we don't want to do the whole sequence, we'll do just U71. So I'll click Start. We'll click OK to scan the component, and then my Access Prober will go and scan U71. So of course, this component did have a failure on it, so we'll go to the Troublesheet just to show you what that is. We have this resistive difference right here. But of course, what we're more interested in is seeing what was generated in the Ascii file. So now we'll go ahead and open that file again. I had it append just to the original file. And you can see down here at the bottom, it scanned U71, and pin 8 was the one that failed. And then pin 7 through 1 were the ones that passed. So as you run the scan, it'll append to the bottom of the file here. And later on, you can take that information and import it into a database or into a spreadsheet for further analysis. So that's how you would use not only the Component Scans tab to go back and review signatures and see the relationship between the Component Scans tab and the Troublesheet, but also a different way to deal with the test information by storing it in an Ascii format. If there are any questions on this, of course, feel free to contact Huntron Tech Support. Also, look at the other videos on the Huntron YouTube channel to learn much more about what Huntron does and get some product demonstrations. As always, we also want to say thank you for watching the video.